Welcome to Classics and Ancient Mediterranean Studies 1103, Classical Mythology. In this lecture, I'll be introducing you to the basic concepts of the course, especially classical and mythology, and I'll be telling you pretty much what the course is about. The most important concept of all, the one I want you to take away with you at the end of the course, is simply that myth is not something that happened 2,500 years ago and not today. It's not just in the past. Myth is about the things that we do today and the stories that we tell today about the things that we do. And so we begin with our first mythic moment, which is from a movie that's from not so long ago. This is a movie called Rudy, which some of you may have seen. And what I need to do to set this up is to say that the main character, played by Sean Astin, sometimes known as Samwise Gamgee here, is a man named Daniel Rudiger, who's a real person and dreamed since his early childhood of playing football for Notre Dame. And he worked very hard to get to Notre Dame, despite the fact that, as you'll see, and this is true of the real Daniel Rudiger too, he's much too small to play on the Notre Dame varsity. He goes through his entire career at Notre Dame as somebody on the practice squad, hoping to realize his dream. And he finally does, as you'll see, in the final game of his senior year. And so we'll watch that, and then I'll talk about why I want you to see that as mythic.
37 seconds remaining. It'll be all over here at Notre Dame Stadium. Off to our left, starting to pick up the chain from the early field body. Can't quite make out just what it is at the moment. In any event, Dan Devine going up the advance here. One of the more favorite moments of the game is J.D. O'Hara. The way we know that O'Hara was heavily recruited for how the club was some years ago. He came to Notre Dame. I suppose it's safe to say his career has been a disappointment.
You can probably tell that that's his family. That's the guy he's been at odds with. That's the mean, businesslike coach. That's the man who failed to realize his dream. That apparently actually happened. The score alone should tell you that this is mythic. I mean the musical score as opposed to the score of the game, which is hardly mythic.
So if you're not smiling now, you ought to check your pulse to make sure you're still alive. And that feeling, the feeling that makes you smile when you see something like that, is exactly what I'm going to mean in this course by myth, even. The Rudy Thing is something that I'm going to keep talking about as we go, and it's going to be my shorthand for talking about something that we identify with, that we believe in, that we, in fact, even believe to be true. My more complicated way of talking about this as we go further along, and I'll explain this in a future lecture, is talking about something called cultural truth value. That is something that we, or any community, acts on the basis of the trueness of. So the Rudy Thing, identification, cultural truth value, they're all pretty much the same as far as this course is going to be concerned. And one of the things you saw, one of the reasons you feel so happy, we can talk about the underdog story, we can talk about somebody realizing their dreams, but none of that matters if we just think of Daniel Rudiger as a real person who is a regular guy and fulfilled a dream that he had, but we don't necessarily have. The way it starts to be something that has to do with the Rudy Thing, the way it starts to be about truth value is how we see ourselves in Rudy. And the filmmakers do a wonderful job of showing us Rudy's family, showing us the man who didn't get to realize his dream, and how they, like us, are able to find in Rudy a symbol, a point of identification that embodies something that they believe in. That is, especially in our country, the idea that if you work hard and if you keep at it, you can realize finally the dream that you had since you were young. And so that's the thing at the end of the course that I want you to take away with you, the idea that the Rudy Thing is happening all over the place, that Hollywood movies, that pop songs, that video games, all of these things are doing myth. Now, we're going to look at that through a lot of classical stuff because, of course, classical mythology is what the course is about. People like Hercules and Theseus and works like the Iliad and the Odyssey. But I don't think it's really going to matter to you at all unless we see it always through this Rudy Thing, through the idea that what myth does is to take us out of ourselves and make us feel something for a truth value, for something that's beyond ourselves, that has to do with our culture as a whole and not just ourselves.